Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Something else you need to watch out for: what could potentially happen to you in your next traffic stop.
They were trying to kill me, especially when they had choked me. You know, man, I was on my last breath. I had told the officer, please, I can't breathe.
Dent was not armed and no gun was found in his car. After the arrest, police discovered Dent was driving on a suspended license. They also say they found a baggie of crack cocaine under the passenger seat.
They planted that stuff in my car.
And the full video is too long to show, but you can go to the article and see these things for yourselves. I just want to point out some of the facts or debate some of these facts that the officers put out. So first of all, they say the man was trying to flee from the scene. And I will say, yes, the gentleman did appear to keep driving while the officers were trying to flag him down, but he didn't speed up. He wasn't bobbing and weaving through traffic. He drove and eventually came to a very calm stop. Then the officers claimed that the gentleman threatened them. And even though you at one point in the video see several officers surrounding the guy, these guys have on body cameras, body mics, nobody caught this supposed threat on camera. Also, one of the officers claimed that the gentleman bit him. The officer reported no injuries and had no medical attention. And they did say that the gentleman had some crack cocaine in his vehicle, but after choking and beating a guy and tasing him for pretty much not doing anything wrong, I can't say that the officers did plan it, but, you know, I wouldn't put past somebody to try to cover their tracks for beating a man down for essentially nothing. But that's just these officers. We don't want to talk about all officers in general because there are plenty of good officers out there, like Sheriff Richard Mack, who came on the Alex Jones Show today. And he was talking about the militarization of the police, and he's saying he doesn't like the actions of the type of officers we just talked about here. But there are good officers out there, and one just recently lost his life. We have an officer in Wisconsin who engaged a bank robbery suspect and was killed during a shootout. And my condolences do go out to the family of this slain officer. And like I said, we do have good officers out there, but so often it's videos like what we just showed you that makes the news. But we do care about these officers when they encounter these types of situations. So we're talking about a car chase, but the EPA is chasing away muscle cars. You guys remember the big hot rods you saw in all the old movies, how the EPA killed muscle cars. And this is a good article that you can find on Infowars.com that goes through all the details. But I want to contrast this article with the EPA with this. A professor saying that electric cars cause more pollution. And this is a University of Toronto professor. He says owning an electric car in some Canadian provinces could actually be worse for the environment than conventional gas-powered automobiles. And he quotes Alberta, Saskatchewan, Nova Scotia, and he says electric cars generate more carbon pollution over their lifetimes than gas-powered cars. So you can compare and contrast those. I've heard that motorcycles put out a lot of emissions. So really, you just drive what you want to drive and let the chips fall where they may. And we're going to let the chips fall where they may for this segment, but we'll come back with more special reports. As I mentioned earlier, we'll have an interview with John McAfee of John McAfee's antivirus software, and also a report about PSYOPs being committed on the American people.
Back in February of 2012, USA Today writer Tom Vandenbroek and editor Ray Locker were targeted just days after contacting the owners of Leone Industries, a Pentagon-funded PSYOP contractor. Mysteriously, websites popped up, some of them claiming that Vandenbroek and Locker worked for the Taliban.
These journalists, they weren't even political. They were investigating some mine company corruption or something. But Leone's co-owner created a batch of fake websites, social media accounts, and a fraudulent Wikipedia page in an effort to smear the journalists. And basically, they created a whole set of fake websites that pretended to be fan websites of these journalists. And they just slowly turned them into complete outposts for smearing them, to try and discredit their investigations. And as is documented in this article, and I've written many articles about since 2008, basically the Pentagon has put out a raft of fake websites that are designed to look like independent media sources. They admitted this in 2008. I'm not making it up. you'll probably see many of them out there when you read the internet on a day-to-day basis. And it's all part of Cass Sunstein's cognitive infiltration of so-called conspiracy theorists and putting out disinformation to confuse people, lead them away from the truth, lead them down into dead ends, and make everything futile.
It wasn't just the fact that they had uncovered a PSYOP contractor that was given federal dollars regardless of the back taxes California-based Leone industry owners owed. They were exposing the major PSYOP they were a part of, American PSYOP 101. A 2000 report from the desk of the Defense Science Board Task Force titled The Creation and Dissemination of All Forms of Information in Support of Psychological Operations, PSYOP, in Time of Military Conflict. This unclassified report is available in PDF form as a link in the description of the report you're listening to right now. The report details how PSYOPs were successful and unsuccessful in major PSYOP operations overseas. From this research, the task force found that military PSYOP offers a unique and powerful asset in military operations, both in peacetime and in war. Given the broad array of complex missions conducted by U.S. military forces, understanding the culture and preparation of the soft battle space is imperative to the conduct of successful operations. Members of the Defense Science Board Task Force include Dennis Bovin of Bear Stearns, Brand Farron of Walt Disney Imagineering, Paul Colazzi of DARPA, to name a few. The financial arena in bed with the entertainment industry, the robotics industry, and the Defense Department. One of the diagrams from the report describes how strategic, military, and tactical PSYOPs work. All signs of the times in the United States since 9/11 reeks of the genesis of a strategic PSYOP, which is now morphing into a military PSYOP, as indicated by the newly uncovered SOCOM document listing Utah, Texas, and Southern California as hostile areas.
So that's a trick. When something's supposed to be declassified, they'll still hide it. So now for 4 or 5 days, they've had the different publications, Stars and Stripes, military.com, and others going, we don't know if the document's real, but these conspiracy theorists, claim that we want to take over Texas and Utah this summer and martial law. We're not going to have martial law this summer.
You notice how they don't deny the operation, though, whatsoever? They just keep trying to, move the attention away from the fact that that's going on and just keep throwing out the conspiracy term and keep attacking us, so it takes people's attention off of the fact that there is a mission going to happen. Just like it says in the documents, they're not denying it.
Today's PSYOP force includes a small but dedicated cadre of country experts familiar with the cultures and fluent in the languages of their accounts. There is a small and equally dedicated cadre of production personnel operating a modest suite of production capabilities. One such dedicated cadre of production personnel is Obama supporter and major Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein, who is now shelling out films aimed at attacking the Second Amendment. I don't think we need guns in this country, and I hate it. And I think that the NRA is a disaster area, he said in an interview last year. They're gonna wish they weren't alive after I'm done with them. And now, Film Nation Entertainment has greenlit a drama entitled Ms. Sloan, in which an anti-gun lobbyist pushes through the federal government control legislation by targeting the gun rights lobby. On May 18th, 2012, Michael Hastings, reporting for BuzzFeed News, delved into the bipartisan amendment that neutralized the Smith-Mundt Act of 1948 and Foreign Relations Authorization Act in 1987. The Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012 legalized the use of PSYOP propaganda in the United States, funded by the State Department. A co-author of the bill, Representative Mac Thornberry of Texas, regarded Hastings' fears as silly. Matt Armstrong, former executive director of the State Department's Commission on Public Diplomacy, stated, "There's this misconception that public diplomacy is propaganda. Propaganda is a lie, a deception, or intentional ambiguity, none of which can be led to effective public diplomacy by any country, let alone the U.S. A doublespeak propaganda statement if there ever was one." John Bound for Infowars.com.
DNA DNA Force.
When cells become toxic, they die early and aging sets in.
DNA Force.
No one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. Just one of the key compounds, BioPQQ, is backed by major clinical studies.
DNA Force.
We now have the synergistic solution. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
DNA Force.